Well, Rachel Pachivas, welcome to Rich Souls.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Me too. For anyone who doesn't know you yet, how do you describe what you do?
I do whatever is needed. I am the CEO of Annmarie Skincare and founder of salt+blue, and I want to change the world. Now, I want people to just embody and embrace a natural lifestyle and take one step at a time to making the planet a better place. But at work, I kind of do whatever is needed to make that happen and bring that change about.
How did you get into this role at Annmarie and Salt and Blue?
Yeah, so Annmarie, I had met the founders very long time ago in 2011, and we became friends. We were working on a campaign together for labeling GMOs in California, and we're all activists and, doing as much as we can to make that happen. And eventually they asked me to come work with them. And it was pretty small at the time. I think it was, Amory was going on leave because she was pregnant. And I think they had one other person working there. And it started off just doing whatever it was needed. And then it slowly evolved into different roles and a lot of operations. And then more recently into CEO. And then it was a couple of years ago, Kevin and I were chatting just about the market and where the gaps were. I went to the river and was there with my daughter and just saw a film of yak all over the surface. And I was like, this is disgusting. We have to do something. And then I was diving deep into a research project for our Sun Love for Annmarie Skincare, which is our sunscreen, and just what was happening to the fish, the mammals, and the coral reefs, and endocrine disruption, reproductive harm. Just everything was just disturbing. And I was like, we need to launch a sunscreen brand, like a standalone, separate sunscreen brand that can really make a difference and change things. And Kev was like, yeah, let's do it. And so then Salt and Blue was born this year.
Yeah, I feel like too, this topic of first non-toxic products for one, and two, the importance of skincare are also super relevant. I mean, maybe have been actually for like I feel like the last 5 years, but it's becoming like more and more mainstream, thank goodness. And I think it's interesting with skincare because our skin is our largest organ, right? So it's like whatever we're putting on there is seeping into our system and yeah, having all kinds of effects on hormones and other processes in our bodies. So yeah, I know I've been on the like holistic train since I was like 12. Like I just
I love that.
yeah, and I've tried so many like natural or like holistic products, including skincare products. And
Yeah, and I think you're right. There is so much more awareness happening. When we launched Amory Skincare and we're just kind of growing and building, it was 17, 18 years ago this August. There was nothing out there. There was maybe like one other. There was Dr. Hauschka, like that's what we can think of when we think of natural back in the day. So I think it's really cool that people are starting to have this inspiration to be cleaner, use cleaner products, and care more about their health and the safety of their bodies.
why do you think people are interested in that nowadays?
It's interesting because I think a lot of it is trend. But I mean, if it's trendy and that's why someone's doing it, so be it. Then it's happening in one way or another. Some people are learning more. I think there's a lot of information available to us now about what these chemicals are doing to us, our water, the planet, things like that, to reproductive. I think that's like the biggest thing right now, infertility rates skyrocketing. So I think people are starting to really learn and then they're starting to connect the dots all over the place.
Yeah, there is so much information out there on this. I think you'll appreciate this, but also like share my like horror about it is I just saw this video on TikTok about like basically a farming. It's like totally different subject, but like the same idea of essentially how chemicals are used in America for crops, including for ingredients that end up in our skincare and in our household goods, and how they're fundamentally changing different plants and whatnot. Like, so in this case, it was like watermelons and apples, or like fruits in general are no longer like they're having less and less seeds, and like what that does to the food, the food ecosystem. And then again, like the actual nutrients that make it into the food that we're then ingesting, and like how they're treated with like chlorine, I think bleach sometimes. It's really wild in a rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, it's gnarly.
It's
It's really, and
gnarly.
that's, yeah, I don't. I don't understand it. I think like hopefully when somebody starts to learn it and they start to go down that rabbit hole, they can't get out and they have to like change. I hope that's the thing that happens. But it's disturbing to see, what has happened to our food system, to our personal care products, to our household products, to our clothes, PFAs. I think there's just so much, our paints, like everything. There's such a toxic load that we have to think about. And so I think like making those really small changes where you can is so valuable.
Totally. And I think too, getting into it or becoming aware of just how pervasive toxins are in our environments, actually everywhere. It's so nuts. It's overwhelming,
Yeah.
right? Of like, oh gosh, like maybe like the average person just finds out and suddenly they're looking at everything in their house, including their skincare, their household products, etc. And they're like, I have to change all of this out, right? And that's expensive too. And so what I've noticed over the years is that there is definitely like the spectrum of like people who are like, oh, I got to get rid of everything, or like they maybe already have gotten rid of everything that is toxic, and they're living a pretty like natural, holistic lifestyle. And then there's people who are doing 80/20. Then there are the people who aren't aware yet, or maybe they don't, some people who don't care, right? So there's all these buckets. I'm curious where you fall on the spectrum and how you came to become so passionate about this.
The people who are like, I don't care. I want to know why,
I know. Tell us.
Like, I'm like, I know, like, tell me why. Like, and if you want to write into me and tell me why, because I need to know, because I'm so curious. But yes, for my personal journey, I think, and I want to hear about yours being natural since like you're 12 years old. But I feel like I grew up kind of in a healthy way. Like my dad wouldn't buy certain things. I ate garbage sometimes. By garbage, I mean fast food. And then probably my late teens, I started to be a little bit more aware. And I remember the first time I bought organic milk, I was 18 years old, and I like worked in high school and went to buy my organic milk because my brother told me some story about blood and milk and bleach and all this gnarly stuff. And then started learning slowly. And I remember my brother putting on Zeitgeist and just like talking about GMOs. And I was like 20 years old, so I was a child. And then when I was 22, I went traveling in Australia. And at the time, I was eating somewhat healthy and using really bad personal care products. I won't say names, but they were just not good. And I went to Australia to do willing workers on organic farms, and I was living with different people. And I lived with a naturopath for a couple of weeks and his wife made skincare products. And so they looked at my products and they're like, throw this out. Like, this will cause cancer. These will cause disease. Like, get rid of it. And I was like, no, I'm just going to use the rest of it. And he's like, no, 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 throw it out. Like, we'll make new products. And so it was kind of like, I was like, no, why would I throw it out? Why would I waste it? And he's like, no, it's toxic for your health. Like, get rid of it. And so that took some learning for me. And so I threw it out. We made our products. And that was like my pivotal moment in the world of waking up a little bit to like, oh, like these products that I put on my skin are actually going to damage my health. And then from there, it was learning more about our food system. I was learning more about permaculture and biodynamic principles in Australia. So when I came back to the States, I kind of just dove deep down the rabbit holes of our pesticide industry, the ag biotech industry, Monsanto, Bayer, Syngenta, BASF, like all these chemical companies that are creating GMOs. And that like catapulted me. I just became a nut, like just like hardcore on working on this campaign and the food and personal care and like all these things. And I think I've leveled out a little bit to where, I mean, I'm still a little bit of a nut, but I think it's just a little bit more less intense about it. Like I was at the point where when Prop 37 didn't pass, I remember going out to eat with my dad the next morning, and it was just like devastating. And I remember looking over, and the person next to me was drinking a Coca-Cola, and I was just like, how could you? Like I didn't say anything, but I was thinking in my head, like what, why? Like, why are we doing this? Like, why aren't we being transparent? Like, these are the people that might not support this. And I was so upset and angry. And I think that was back in 2012. So I think those next few years after that, just learning to level out and appreciate what people do know and respect people's decisions for what they decide to do, and kind of going on my own path to do what I can for myself and my family. It's kind of where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm. Can you
Yeah.
remind me what Prop 37 is?
Yeah. It was for labeling. It was the first proposition ever introduced to label genetically engineered foods in California. After that, it sparked a whole movement, one in Oregon, one in Washington, one in Colorado. And then there was maybe, I think, 30 or 20 something states proposing legislation to label GMOs
Wow.
in their state. Yeah, so it sparked a whole movement and it raised a lot of awareness. I think it really got people thinking, like, oh, what are GMOs? Like, oh, this is in our food. Like, we didn't know this, which was great because that's weird that we had these things in our food and we didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what that was.
Public education is so huge on all of this. Again, going back to the point that we made earlier, is like information is rampant. That's why people are becoming more aware and also influenced to make more conscious choices about the products that they invite into their household that's affecting their bodies.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so wait,
Yeah.
what about you? So you were 12 years old.
Yeah, I was 12 years old. I think it was a couple of things at once. One being my health at the time. I had really horrible digestion and I was Googling it as one does, and then learning about how processed foods could contribute to the symptoms that I was having. And so that just led to an interest in the quality of ingredients that were in my foods. And then that naturally segued into the quality of ingredients that were in my skincare, or in my hair care. I mean, really just everything, even like perfumes, deodorants, like everything, you know? And so that's just continued as I've gotten older. And then now I would say I fall on the spectrum of probably like 80-20, maybe even like 90-10. Like there's certain things like my makeup, I still like half of it is still toxic. And I'm like, well, it's like about it. And bug spray, my bug spray is like, I use the toxic stuff sometimes because I'm just like, I'll get eaten alive. But yeah, I was actually thinking that I'm like, maybe to Salt and Blue, part of this like summer theme, outdoor theme is like an effective non-tox bug spray. Could
Yeah,
be so cool.
I can make you a balm. I can send you my recipe for a balm.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it works. It's great. I put it on my little one. We have
Okay.
so many mosquitoes. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Okay. Yeah, ever since I moved to the South, I don't know if people consider like Texas the South per se, or there's like a bunch of debate, but I was in Tennessee before and I would just like walk out of my apartment in Tennessee to throw out my garbage. So, you know, like a 2-minute walk back in, I'd have 20 bites, like actually 20 bites on me. And I haven't found something that's like as effective as the D word
D.
as D. Yeah. I know. I need to like figure out a detox. I don't use it every day now. Sometimes I'm just like, I'll just get the bugs. I'll get eaten.
Yeah.
But I should look into it because D I hear is very disturbing, and I haven't let myself go down that rabbit hole. You
Yeah, I
probably
can
know
send
things.
you. I'll send you a balm. I'll send you a balm recipe, and then if you want me to make you one, I can make you one, and I'll send it
Okay.
to you. And then
Noted.
also Ledum is a great homeopathy that when you get bitten, it helps to kind of calm those bites, and then helps the next time them not to bite you. So
Hey, I'm
try
so
that one.
excited. I'm glad you know this. This is like that
Yes.
the bug spray is definitely like the big area that's like hanging.
Mm,
So
that's a big one.
yeah.
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 It's another industry. Yeah, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. So how old were you when you went to Australia and discovered
I was
skincare?
22. Yeah,
22.
so
Wow.
it was
Yeah.
a weird one. Yeah, and I think I was using natural products for my face before
Mm.
that. So I was using Dr. Hauschka, and then I was using a couple of other things that I found at Whole Foods, which I guess like might not be that natural, but yeah, I was using that, and then my body was just not at all like it was gnarly. The things I was using, the synthetic fragrance, just all water and fillers and chemicals. And so 22 years old, just diving down that rabbit hole. And then I became obsessed. Like I love skincare.
Okay, so what is actually happening to our oceans, our lakes, our springs, our creeks as a byproduct of going into them, enjoying them with all of these toxic products on our skin?
So when you look at sunscreens, chemical sunscreens, I guess the main ones that you see in conventional products of the chemicals are the avobenzene, the oxybenzone, the octinizate. There's a couple of others that are starting to make their way, and those are chemical filters. So they're causing the UV reaction in your skin, the heat reaction to absorb it. And what they're doing to the oceans is causing coral bleaching. You see a decimation of the coral reefs in all over the world. They're causing endocrine disruptions. So they're starting to see, scientists are starting to discover that there's male fish growing female parts. That's a huge one. You're starting to see the DNA of dolphins being affected, and that's passing into their young. So they're pretty detrimental things that are happening to not only the ocean and the reefs, but the algae, the fish, the dolphins, everything that resides in the ocean. So it's disturbing. There's a few places that are sparking bans on these chemicals. Hawaii, they just, I forget when it was, but they passed a ban on oxybenzone, so it can't be sold there, which these same companies are creating oxybenzone-free product for there, but then they're selling it to the rest of the country and the world. So that's weird and annoying, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the things that I saw when I was doing that research project on our sun love that were pretty alarming.
How did you incorporate research into developing the sunscreen for salt+blue?
Well, so we knew we wanted definitely mineral. So zinc oxide is the cleanest, the safest, non-nano coated zinc oxide as the only UV protector. And using that, it allows you to have UVB coverage and UVA. So that makes it broad spectrum. Typically, you might see an SPF. I don't know, there's a lot of marketing on like high SPFs, but that doesn't have anything to do with critical wavelength, which is the UVA1, UVA2, which is the aging UV rays. It's just the UVB, which is the burn. So I think that's something that people don't often know or think about. And it's kind of important because a lot of people, when they go in the sun, they don't want to get burned, but they also don't want to get sunspots, wrinkles, saggy skin, all the things. So zinc was definitely our marker. And just like we have to formulate with zinc, we wanted it to be intentionally created with that same idea of incorporating botanical ingredients, using piranha, red raspberry, like plant matter into the product and not just the super basic, base ingredients. And then the scent profile using essential oils, pure essential oils, and then packaging. So like these were all of my non-negotiables for creating this product. Yeah, having intention through every step in the process, through the formulation, all the ingredients, the application. Zinc, I think is, you hear zinc and you're like, oh, white cast. And somebody told me recently, they're like, this leaves white cast. And I was like, I don't think it does. And I used it the other day at the river and I rubbed it in for maybe 20 seconds, maybe 30, and then it was gone. And then by 1 minute, it looks identical to the other arm. And it's like, I think we have to relearn that you might not be able to just take a product and rub it on and it's gone if it's natural ingredients, and our formula is anhydrous, meaning it doesn't have any water or aqueous matter in it, which allows us to not use any preservatives. So it's just all oil and butter. So it's a little bit richer. So you do need to rub it in. It takes 30 seconds to a minute. And then after that, it's not white anymore. So I think there's just a little bit of a learning curve that we have to do with education about natural products. And it's more effective than the chemical products. It's cleaner. It feels better. It smells better. It's all the things. It just might take another 20 seconds to get it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I feel like to that point, that with natural products, they do have like more to them, like in this case, like rubbing them in a little bit more, which I experienced too. And then I had like a beautiful sheen on my shoulders, but it's also an opportunity to incorporate mindfulness into, like, for example, with that application, and just to, again, like take in the scent and feel the beautiful richness of the product on your skin, and like do that in the setting of this, like in during summer and out in nature, and to just take in the experience as a whole. And I think that's the opportunity with using natural products like this. So
I love that. I think that's so important because it is so true that some people just take it and they just spray it and then they're done and they don't even think about it. And that's like causing them to not even connect with the product. And I think if you lose that connection, if you don't have any of that connection, it's you don't care about what it is, what's in it, where it's going, where it's ending up, all the things, you know?
Oh, totally. And I think that's also a natural or like a beautiful part of natural products is that the ingredients, because they're living organisms on our earth, they do have these properties to them, these like medicinal properties. And in that, they're like natural gifts on our planet that we get to use, incorporate, appreciate that you just don't get with the like super processed, what is the word? The super processed and
Conventional?
conventional, but I'm thinking like, oh gosh, I'm totally blanking on this word. I'm not going to think of it, but just manufactured, highly manufactured,
Mass produced. Yeah,
mass produced products that like don't have like an essence to them, you know?
for sure.
They're just like,
The energy, you can feel it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
empty in a way, you know?
Totally. And I also, yeah, that's also something I started to notice, I think, like with my journey of like around 12 years old and becoming more aware of the ingredients that were in everything is starting to almost, it sounds weird if you haven't had this experience or like used a lot of natural products or like had that mindfulness approach of mindfulness to the products that you bring into your life. But eventually you do start to like sense into these different properties, even if it's just like things that you like or how they make you feel or yeah, what they bring out in you, whether it's like calmness or energizing. Like I was using my essential oils before I like recorded, you know, and I have one for like clarity and then I have a grounding one. And it's just like, it does drop us into our senses in such a beautiful way that allows for a slower pace of being and taking in more. And we develop that like that nose for that or like that discernment for these ingredients and these products just by like incorporating more of them. And honestly, like using this analogy of noise is not having the noise of like the super chemically products around like in a sense that just drown out these subtle scents that are more natural and then therefore it creates capacity for us to appreciate them more. So that was a bit of a deviation, but it's such a beautiful aspect of using natural products and especially natural skincare because of the ritual that's so inherent to it.
For sure. Yeah. And there are, you know, there are natural products out there. I was chatting with our product and ingredient manager today just about a manufacturer that had reached out to us in the past and they mass produce for a lot of organic brands and clean brands. And I'm just like, I don't, you know, that's not our vibe. You know, from Annmarie Skincare, we do crystal infusions, we do sacred geometry. And we're taking that concept, that intention, and putting it into salt and blue as well. You know, sacred geometry being on the bottle as the logo. And I think it goes like it's full stream, you know, like it goes from every realm of the product and like having that intention and that energy and that sacred essence of it because you could truly feel it and you're becoming a part of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how do you scale a product, a company with that level of intention?
Yeah, you got to find good partners. That's kind of the thing that's worked for us. We've had our partners for a very long time now. One of them was part owner, the manufacturing facility that we work with primarily. And yeah, connecting with them. We try to get on calls with them. We send them the product. We send them birthday gifts and we email them. Like, I guess creating that positivity with them so that they can put that love into the product and continue to put us first so that if we do need a double production and we do need it in a shorter timeline, we can just like call on them and do things to have favors, you know? Yeah. But scaling, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead, please.
I was just going to say scaling, it hasn't been too much of an issue. I mean, we're not ginormous, the Annmarie Skincare, and hopefully we do have that issue moving forward. Hopefully we get so big that we have a scaling problem. But there are a lot of partners out there, companies out there that are willing to do good by the planet and create formulas with us and create our formulas for us and adhere to our made safe certification standards, adhere to our sourcing, adhere to everything that we want to do in terms of steps for filling and production and whether we're playing 432 hertz frequency or having sound music playing, like certain things, like a lot of them are really willing to work with us and do it.
Okay, can you actually go through the different, because now we're kind of veering into like a little bit more of like the woo stuff, right? Which I'm all for. And I'm curious, like in building a product or brand, like how have you incorporated these like woo elements into creating salt and blue?
Yeah. So I guess with salt and blue specifically, the main woo element is the sacred geometry. So when coming up with the logo and kind of the branding itself, we, of course, as I was saying, we wanted to keep it kind of generic and attracting everybody. And the name Salt and Blue, like really embodying the ocean and the sky and just that. But then the logo itself, we were talking about sacred geometry and what we wanted to do. And we're like, how about the Vesica Piscis? And Chandra, our creative director, she took that sacred geometry and really worked with it to create something unique to Salt and Blue to really, and I'll put it up here so you can see. So you can see the Vesica Piscis in there and the intersection of worlds and it could be, whatever we want. It could be the intersection of the earth and the ocean. It could be the intersection of the common and the not so common. It could be different ideologies connecting and intersecting in this world with Salt and Blue. So I think that's the main, I guess, concept of that woo-woo that's going into it.
Mm-hmm. But you mentioned the hurt. So how does that
So
play a
that we do
role?
in Annmarie skincare. Yeah,
Oh.
which we might incorporate into one of our sprays because it has healing frequencies. We have quite a few products in the pipeline planned for Salt and Blue, so we may incorporate that
Ooh.
into, yeah, the sprays and then the body oil. And so with Annmarie skincare, we use 528 and 432. So we would probably utilize 432 primarily as like a healing frequency that connects and resembles the frequency on the planet in nature.
And
Yeah.
so those frequencies do you just put the products or the ingredients in like some kind of containment around the frequencies and the frequencies get infused into the products? Is that the idea?
Yeah, so for one of them, we played music that was created at 528 hertz frequency. And so when the product was being mixed and filled and kitted, that music was playing in the background. And then the other one, we had a 432 hertz frequency device sounding while the product was being created and filled and kitted.
Wow. Okay, that's so interesting. This is the way of the future.
Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, I love what I've seen about Salt and Blue and kind of the ethos behind Salt and Blue and how our relationship to the sun is a part of that. Because especially I feel like in the past 2 years, I don't know if it's just like me being in my 30s, but it's like everyone's like, oh my gosh, including me, like, how was I not wearing sunscreen when I was like in my early 20s and just always out in the sun? Or, people saying, I can't believe I was using tanning beds in my teenage years and all of this. But going back to the sun is this like the fear mongering that can come with like, oh my gosh, the sun, like what's the UV index today? It's gonna like damage my skin. I'm gonna age, whatever the case might be. But also if we like look back into all the way back to like ancient times, the sun was revered even like as a god. And there's just like so much story about the sun and like being a source of warmth, of life force even, and how that's been incorporated into Salt and Blue. So anyway, I'm curious of your thoughts on the power of the sun and misconceptions about the sun that are now a part of the like mainstream narrative today.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so true. And that is one thing that when creating this product, we don't want to say, get out of the sun, wear sunscreen all day, every day, fully cover yourself, don't ever embrace the sun because we're all of the nature and of the idea mindset that the sun is healing, the sun is power, the sun is source. Doctors were prescribing heliotherapy and sun before they were prescribing antibiotics. So I think there's power to that. There's so much knowledge out there that has kind of gone away when the mainstream sunscreen and chemical companies started creating their products and then the narrative around sun damage. But yeah, my relationship with the sun, I've had like an interesting one over the years, but for Salt and Blue specifically, we definitely love the idea of getting out in the sun early morning, late afternoon for that UVA, and then midday only for a brief time for UVB, helping with circadian rhythm, vitamin D intake, balancing your hormones, resetting, kind of rehelping like your brain and cognitive function. So there's definitely that mindset to have that relationship with the sun and not overdoing it. Like for me personally, if I'm going to be outside all day in the garden and working outside, then yeah, I'm going to put some sunscreen on. If I'm going to be out there for 10 minutes, I might not worry about it. Depends what time as well. So I think just being mindful of the time frame that you're outside, if you have a hat on, if where you're at, also where you're at in your cycle, but where you are geographically. There's so many things to consider. There's so many, it's not just a one-stop shop. It's very nuanced, the sun and the power of the sun. And I think for Salt+Blue, the idea that we respect the sun, we honor the sun, we want to live in harmony with the sun, and we want to create a product so that when you are out there for a long period of time, you have protection because it is very powerful,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Totally. I want to double click on the sun's effect on us, depending on where we're at in our cycle. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so I think that's true for like all skincare products. Like I will be much more sensitive to products like lactic acids or the sun or something that's intense on my skin when I'm right before, right during. So I think it's just something to be mindful of, or alcohol. Like you might feel it a lot more if you're right before your moon cycle, or you might feel something else right afterwards. Like we're constantly in flux
I
as
know.
females, which is so wild. And so I think like
Truly.
tuning into that, yeah, I think it's really valuable. And for me personally, being in the sun when I'm on my cycle, I know that I'm going to be a little bit more sensitive and I might burn. For
Mm-hmm.
me, yeah.
Noted. I haven't heard of that, and I'm gonna now I have it in my
Yeah.
awareness.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I also in recent years have heard of things like sun gazing. Actually, not that recent, I guess like the past 10 years, but like sun
Yeah.
gazing, or like one of my friends here in Austin has been meditating with the sun, I think twice a day. Um, I think with the summer equinox. And yeah, there's just so many practices of connecting with the sun and um, kind of, I guess, relating to the energy that it brings to us and like how that can and to our planet, and how that we can even use that for like our own again creative life force and like how we use our energy in our days. So I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I feel like I don't do enough of it. Like I need to get off the computer and go outside. Like this morning I went out and I did some sun gazing and I just got grounded. But like my partner's out there every morning just sitting in the dirt, just like, oh, like I want that.
Amazing.
And then our daughter too, he brought her out from an early age to get some morning sunshine and afternoon
Oh my
sunshine.
gosh.
So I think it is so important to connect with the sun,
Yeah. I mean,
and not in a harmful way,
yeah.
like when we're little.
Yeah. I wonder your daughter's circadian rhythm must be like on point.
Yeah, she is outside all day long in the sun, like kind of just in the trees and doing things. So she's very connected. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I often, I think it was last year, I stopped having caffeine for a period because I find like in different seasons of life, I'm just too sensitive to caffeine. And so I cut it out, and I was just going on my morning walks, and I was like, wow, the like sun in my eyes is like, it feels better than a cup of coffee or matcha at this point. And it's so good. You can't get that feeling anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you wear sunglasses, you are tricking your body. This is one thing that a lot of people don't think about. I had no idea until my partner was just like, "Why are you wearing sunglasses? I don't want to be wearing them, so don't wear them around her." And so, what it is when you wear sunglasses, you're tricking your body to think that it's dark out. So, your body is naturally producing like thicker skin when it's sunny out, when it's getting the light penetrating its eyes. It's producing its own natural sun protectant. So, when you're putting sunglasses on, you are more prone to burn because your body is signaling that it doesn't need to create those protective layers. Is that cool?
That's crazy.
I know. I know. It's wild.
Oh my gosh, noted. I actually, a couple years ago, I got these blue light blocking sunglasses.
Oh,
Exactly.
for outside?
For outside. Like, doesn't make sense, right? I don't know. I don't know. I think I was just new to like blue light blocking, and so I got these sunglasses, and like, yeah, like I think a year into it or less than a year into it, I was like, oh, I actually shouldn't be using these. Like, I want blue light during the day, but also they're super cute. So now I do wear them sometimes, but every time I do, I'm like, yeah, this is not good for me. And now I have another reason to add to that. That's so interesting. But I usually only wear them if I'm like driving. So I'm already in my car not getting sun. So 80/20
Yeah.
slash 90/10.
Love that.
Do you have any other misconceptions that are coming to mind about the sun?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I think the big one I think of is just like it's not a misconception, but we've already talked about it, but just a disconnection from the sun and like what it actually is doing for our planet.
There's just a lot of fear around it. And there's also just a lot of fear about nonsense with it, like aging. And I definitely have fell fault to that in my early 20s, 20 and 21. I remember when I was a teenager, I would just be on the roof of our house, just like baking in the sun with my girlfriends in high school, just like, yes, loving it, which was great. And I'm like, what was I thinking? Like being out for 7 hours at a time. And then when I was between the ages of 20 and 21, and this is in Miami, I wore sunscreen everywhere. I wore it to the mall. I wore it on a rainy day. Like I was obsessed with wearing sunscreen because I thought the sun was bad and like that was the messaging I had. And then I went to Australia and then I didn't wear any sunscreen because the naturopath, he's like, sun's great and da 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 da, which it is great. But I was outside for such long periods of time, like on a sailboat, snorkeling, all these things, like not wearing anything. And I think there's a balance. I think you don't need to have one or the other. And I think now I've gotten into the world of, okay, I'm going to wear sunscreen sometimes on my face if I've used an activated ingredient, or if I'm going to be outside for a long period of time, I'll wear a hat instead or a visor so my head can get sun. Kind of having just like a symbiotic relationship with the sun, instead of like it's this thing we need to think about to protect and to be at odds with. It's more so this is our life force giving us everything we have on this planet, and how are we living with it?
Totally. I'm in this community that has several mantras, and one of them is take what you need. And I kind of think of that even with what you were sharing with the sun is just having, like you said, a symbiotic relationship where you are in tune with what's going on in your body as you're outdoors, spending time outdoors, especially in the summers. Like, are you like out here, like going on boats and barges, or it's a huge thing. So it's like, are you on like the top of a barge for hours at a time and just like in the sun or in the lake? And it's like, are you feeling like lightheaded? Do you have a headache? Have you hydrated? Like, do you need to be in the shade? It's just, enjoying this time of year, enjoying the sun, enjoying nature, and also like taking care of your body so you can really be at like an extended capacity to enjoy everything, right? Because I know for me, sometimes I'll go for a run, although this hasn't happened in a while, but I'll go for a run on a like Saturday morning in the sun, and I'll be dehydrated. I don't know. I don't think I'm dehydrated, but I'll have a headache the rest of the day if it's a longer run. And I think it does have to do with hydration. The only thing that makes it go away is sleeping. So it's like kind of knowing, I guess, like, yeah, what our body needs. And I guess in that case for me, I actually haven't figured that one out. I just don't do long runs in the summertime because it's too dang hot out here.
No, that makes sense.
Okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit of how non-toxic products can bring us closer to nature. But I'm curious, just, as a question, like, first of all, would you say that non-toxic products bring us closer to nature? And then if so, how?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think in multiple ways. So I guess backing up a little bit. So in non-toxic products, you could get something that's mass produced that it's non-toxic in the sense that it doesn't contain toxic chemicals that are harming your body, but maybe it's not utilizing organic material or botanical material. So in that way, perhaps not. I think the intention is there though. So I think if somebody's intentionally choosing a product that is better for them, they're doing so for a reason, and whatever that reason is connecting them to a higher source, and which is nature. And I think if you are using a non-toxic product that is intentionally produced using botanicals, organic ingredients, something that you can feel, I think that's definitely connecting you to that higher source, to nature, to life force. And it's doing good by you and the planet. So I guess many, many different ways.
I think I kind of like shared my thoughts on this earlier with just the kind of mindfulness that one develops when using non-toxic products and also natural ingredients, and the ritual. I think for me, like it really does boil down to the ritual that I develop with my different products, and yeah, I like taking in scents. I love scents, especially, but also I'm very sensitive to like the more toxic scents, right? So it's like allowing myself to slow down and to apply like my clean perfumes or like, again like my essential oils before I sit down to record and just like connecting with my senses, I think is something that really grounds me, and allows me to appreciate the properties in my products and notice how they make me feel, whether it is again grounding with like my grounding essential oil or like yeah like feeling clarifying with my clarifying essential oil or whatnot. So
I mean, I think it's just like a natural thing that will happen if you're using something that is pure, that has intention in it, that's using natural ingredients and non-toxic ingredients. You're bound to be more connected to source.
yeah, I have this, what is it? I think it's an azelaic acid skincare product. And I got it for like the benefits of the product. It's not clean, but although I think like Sephora classifies it as clean, but the smell is like a perfume. And I can't use it because I just, and it's so different. I know. And it's so different from the other products I use, but I was like, oh, I think I want the chemical stuff because I want to like get rid of these scars. And then I like put it on once and I'm like, this smells like baby powder. Like it's so pervasive. It's like, why would I want that on my skin? And in that example, it disconnects me from my experience because then I'm like, oh, I don't want to be smelling this. And then I feel like kind of this like dissonance because I just put this stuff on my face that smells like this can't be good for my skin. And yeah, I also think there's an element too when we're talking about like clean versus not clean and also how to like bring that into our lifestyles and like how to do that, especially if we're newer to it. Although I have a feeling like most of my audience is not, but is like the dialogue that we have around what is in our products, because I've also definitely had my phase of when I was first like switching things over. I was like noticing the toxins everywhere and then being again like so overwhelmed, like I mentioned at the start, just like so overwhelmed and feel like the dialogue was probably worse for me than the effects of the products, I
For
think.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's not supposed to be like if you start getting super hard on yourself and stressing and freaking out, like that cortisol, that is affecting your body, as you said, probably more than the products are, you know? And so I think that's super essential to just take a step back. And if your audience is interested, you know, there are so many ways to just slowly take out one product, swap one for the other. We have a toxic free home guide that I put together for Annmarie Skincare that kind of goes through room by room in your house because it can be so overwhelming. And just taking that, you know, bird's eye view and taking one room at a time and like this needs to be removed and this is how you can remove it and this is what you swap it out with. So I think there is a way it could be easy, but for sure you have to just move slowly and be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. It's all about the intention, like just like with developing salt and blue products, right? It's just exactly the intention behind how we curate our lives. And if you're doing it from, I mean, and I'm guilty of this, which is why I'm sharing it, but like when I've yeah, come at it from a point of like the extremes, it's actually not as it's just not effective, and it causes again the cortisol and like whatever else that's put like taking my body and my mind and my spirit, like putting it in a state of disharmony versus like, oh, okay, like let me be gentle with this transition that I'm making and gentle with myself in it. And also that I'm learning new things about this. I don't know everything. And there's going to be a lot of information because 2026, like the internet, and this is applicable for like talks, non-talks, and also just like everything.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Yeah. And then in that way, intentionality becomes like a habit of the mind, I think. And then it just kind of becomes infused more and more into like every area of life.
That's cool.
You mentioned, or I think I saw this actually on the Salt and Blue site, but of just the importance of not taking shortcuts in getting Salt and Blue off the ground. And so I'm curious, like, what that's actually looked like in execution.
Yeah. Packaging is a huge thing. That's probably been our biggest little hiccup. And I didn't really think about it too much because I just imagine, you know, what we're being told is accurate information. And we, you know, we're used to using a lot of glass. But for Salt and Blue, when we were in the beginning stages of creating our packaging ideas, we were going to be using a bioplastic tube. And we're having one custom created so that it had more compostability and less plastic because all bioplastic has plastic in it. Usually it's around 40 to 60% plastic, and the remaining percent is some sort of plant fiber material, whether it's corn or straw or bamboo or whatever. And I was like, okay, like as long as we use a little bit, of this is great. Like we're using compostable, it's bioplastic. Like this is the thing. And I was laying in bed one night, and this is like my aha moment because it's so just like front of mind. I was laying in bed and we were about to place the order for however many thousand tubes. And we had kind of a different styling for packaging at that point. Like the branding was going to be a little bit different because it's really taking on that concept of the bioplastic. And I was laying in bed and I'm like, okay. And another thing with the brand is we're connecting with nonprofits who are doing good by the ocean, who are helping whales, who, right now we're supporting the Sea Shepherd Foundation, Paul Watson. And anywho, so part of the concept of Salt and Blue is we're supporting these nonprofits. We're doing all we can with coral reef restoration. We're supporting the idea of protecting our planet, protecting the oceans, the plastic pollution in the ocean, the chemicals, like all the things, like whole view. And I was laying in bed and I was like, we're about to launch this brand and we're about to create a product with this product that's going to just end up in the ocean. Like it's literally going to end up in the ocean, this bioplastic. Like that's where it goes. And I had talked with a couple of people in the Plastic Pollution Coalition, a couple of packaging manufacturers who do not do bioplastic, who talk about the recyclability of aluminum, who talk about the lack of infrastructure of bioplastics. So there's hardly any infrastructure for recyclability or compostability for bioplastics. And that led me to this idea that these bioplastics, they're just going to end up in the ocean, and that is defeating the purpose of everything we want to do. And so it was like, we have to pause the launch, and we were supposed to launch like probably a year before we actually did, which, that is what it is. We had to do it because that would have been awful to create a product that goes against everything that we believed in. So then we pivoted to aluminum. So the entire thing is recycling or recyclable. Right now, we're kind of running into just the metal and metal. We didn't want plastic. We want no plastic at all. It's proving to be very difficult. And so we don't want to take shortcut. We keep getting told plastic cap, plastic cap, plastic cap. And I'm like, we can't do it. No, I don't want to. So I'm looking into compostable caps, like fully compostable, like all plant material by this really cool company. I don't know if it's going to work. So I don't know. If not, we'll keep with the metal. All of our other products we're working on all recyclable. We just want to eliminate the plastic idea and not use bioplastic, like typical bioplastic, because I don't know, it doesn't solve the problem. If anything, it makes it worse because people are thinking that it's doing good. Like you see it in marketing, like this is bioplastic, but it doesn't do anything. So that was one big shortcut that I was like, we can't do this. And we pushed back the launch probably like 9 to 10 months so that we can do that.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That's huge. I mean, that's just huge because it's not easy to stay in integrity sometimes. It would have been a lot
No.
easier to go with that tube, but
Yeah,
it was out
cheaper.
and cheaper,
Yeah.
which is why so many companies default to those kinds of choices. But yeah, it's out of integrity,
Yeah.
and then that just has a ripple effect out into throughout the company, and then your customers and so on. So.
And that's such a big thing with our customers, like our customers trust us. We are so just through and through with ingredient sourcing, with just integrity and intention and everything that we do. So like we've built that trust, and one wrong move, we're going to break it. And that is just not a thing I ever want to do. Like I want our customers to trust me as well, like me personally. Like I have full intention to always do like the best by our customers, our company, the planet. Like that is just top of mind for me. So I think putting something out there that could break that trust would be detrimental to the brand and to that relationship,
Oh, absolutely. And I just really appreciate again like that commitment because again, it's so easy to not stick to that commitment, but it is significant, and I think it's what makes brands and individuals stand out in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm so curious now that you've talked about like this facet of developing this sunscreen for Salt and Blue. Like what else, what was the trajectory like of developing this product?
Probably 3 years of, first working on the formulation. So wanting to have SPF 30 and not 20. wanting to make sure it was zinc, wanting to make sure there was no water because we didn't want preservatives, stabilizers, solubilizers. And then the whole packaging thing. We needed the botanicals in there. So there were some hiccups with botanicals getting added in. It would thin out the formula, separate it. And they're like, okay, we could just remove it. It's like, no, 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 no. Like, we can wait. We can wait. So it got pushed back. I mean, with the formulation and the product itself, probably 6 to 9 months. And then the packaging was more. So, I mean, we were probably supposed to launch like a year and a half, 2 years prior before we actually did. It took maybe 3 years to fully from the idea and concept to market and actually having the product at our warehouse because of all the delays. Yeah.
Wow. And then when you're formulating the product, are you, I mean, you're getting samples, I'm sure, of like different mixtures. And then are you going to labs yourself? Like, because obviously you've been at the helm of this. So what does your involvement looks like?
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily I'm from Florida and I was working with a facility out there. And so I drove 9 hours to get there and go check out the facility and meet them all in person and do that. So yeah, I will go to labs. I mean, I've traveled to multiple places. I want to meet the people behind who's making it and I want to connect with them and get a feel for their intention and get a feel for just their energy, like we don't want the slimy business. We want the pure intention, like the ones really willing to work with us on, again, on our made safe standards, on the ingredient sourcing. We have to adhere to the exact sourcing that we put in there. But yeah, I'll check them out. I went to the lab, went to the facility, received samples. We went back and forth on samples for a year and a half, maybe. Yeah.
That sounds so fun.
It is, yeah. It's fun getting to travel to like far distant places. Like I went to France once to visit an essential oil farm, which was great, a distillery. So yeah, there's been some fun places to go check out
Yeah.
and see what's happening.
Yeah. This is just it kind of stirring memories in my head when I was younger. My cousin and I would mix together all of our lotion, like whatever we had. I don't know, like we were maybe like 6, 7, and I don't remember how long we were doing this for, but yeah, we'd mix our lotions and like body sprays and shampoos and all of this. And it was just so fun. And it's like actually doing that to create an effective product that's in integrity just sounds so fun too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is fun. It's great. Yeah, I was actually thinking the other day because for sunscreen specifically, I've played a little bit around in my kitchen. And so like I'll play with things and then I'll put it into a spreadsheet and then I'll kind of like tweak some things and I'll send a couple of examples over to the lab and then they'll work on like a batch of it. But it's so much fun doing it in your kitchen first to kind of just feel it and see what it might be like. The essential oils for this one, that one was a feat because initially I think it had just 2 that they suggested. And I was like, no, 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 like this needs to be like a full emotional experience.
Wow.
And so I think I had like 5 little flasks here on my desk of essential oils and just like playing with it for weeks. And then finally I sent over the formula for the essential oil blend specifically. And they were just like, okay, this is this is over the top. Just because it was a little bit weird, like the choices, and the combination. But it worked.
It's great. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I mean, you're in the lab playing with all of these different ingredients. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good job. I like it.
Yeah.
I love my job.
Is it normal for CEOs of skincare companies to be
know. It's crazy because that's like the good part of my job. My partner came in the other day and we were just testing out different dip tubes, and different essential oils and profiles of a spray. And he came in and I literally was just sitting at my desk and I was typing and I go, and I start typing again. And he just like looks at me and he's like, you've won. You've won in life. And I'm just like, that's not all I do. That's part of it. That's like the fun part of it. But there are so many other things that are tied into the role,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I guess more typical like CEO responsibilities, not like necessarily tinkering with the products, but I think it is just a testament to like going back to your early 20s when you first even like got into all of this, is just that passion and obsession and how it's now rippling through into your work now and how all of your teammates, your partners, your customers are benefiting from it and you're benefiting from it and kind of like in your element.
For sure.
Yeah, that is the dream.
It is. It's great. And I mean, we try to create this for all of our team. We don't want them doing things that they can't stand. We want them to enjoy their job. We want it to be an atmosphere where they can be here for forever. I know that sounds weird, but like we want to create a job where they can feel happy for the rest of their life. So if they're going to get burnt out or if they don't love what they're doing or if they feel at odds with that, then they should pivot and they should tell us so that we can work to make it something that they absolutely love and desire doing all day long. And I think we've done it. I hope. I hope they'd say the same.
Okay, I want to hear more about this. Like, how do you actually foster a culture? Like, what tactics do you actually incorporate to make that happen?
It started years ago. So, working from home when we didn't have to, when we had offices, giving that opportunity to work from home. And it's been like an evolution of things because when we had an office, we would have happy hours with our teams. And so we would do body butter making happy hour. We'd go to a natty wine bar. We'd go to dinner. We'd do like activities as a team for remote employees. They would kind of connect and do things like that. So that was one thing that was early on. That was what we thought they needed. It's been very interesting, 15 years being at this company and developing different things that can connect people more. And we've kind of gotten to a place now where what people want is that work-life integration and to be able to integrate their work into their life and not have it be siloed. So it's not about the fancy dinners, the gifts, and all the things, which we still, they're nice. But it's about the team only works 4 days a week, and it's not 4 10s, it's 4 8s. So they only work literally 4 days a week. Yeah, and during the busy period, if they need to pop on a Friday, then go for it. But we require them to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Flexible hours. So some team members might pop on at 6 a.m. and sign off early. Some might sign on in the morning, have 4 hours in the middle of the day off, and then work later. We try to they're adults. They can do what they want, do what works, do what you need to do for your job. The roles are very clearly defined so that they know what they need to do and they can kind of do it at their own pace and what works for them. Profit share models tied to the company's success. So everybody has a buy-in to the success of the brands. What else do we do? And also just listening to them. So helping them, support them, get rid of tasks that they don't want to do, like whether it's outsourcing or streamlining or automating those things to really hone into their special skills and things that gives them joy and gives them their passion. And I think that holds a lot of value because I think they really appreciate being able to do the things that spark them, and not those mundane, monotonous tasks that they just don't love. So, and then having a team that's all aligned with that. If you have one that doesn't believe in that or one that isn't stepping up to the plate as an A player, then it's going to affect everybody. So having everybody aligned with that is kind of like our culture at this point, having a dream team so everybody can lean on each other. I mean, everybody's been with us at this point for years. I don't think we've had anybody leave in quite a while, which feels really nice. Yeah. I think we're in like the best place we've ever been in terms of our team and like the alignment and family-like culture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or what size is the team between Annmarie and Salt and Blue? And is the team that works on Annmarie also the team that works on Salt and Blue? It's just a different brand. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. 14 people.
Oh my gosh, super lean.
Yeah.
Making it all happen. Wow.
Yeah. 14 people. Yeah.
Yeah. And then where were your offices when you actually had them?
We had an office in Berkeley, California.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we had that office. I mean, we had a few different offices at different points in Berkeley. And then I think our team had expanded to a point in 2018, 2019, and then 2020 when nobody went to work. I was like, this is a lot of money. Let's dissolve this office. And we had like 50% of our team was remote already because, that's what worked for their lifestyle. And we dissolved the office and we went 100% remote and everybody's still all over. I don't even think we have anybody in the Bay Area anymore because I left. I think I was the last person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in 2020. Yeah, and I moved up to Nevada City. So
yeah.
we have a few people in California. We have people in Kansas in Colorado, Connecticut, New York, Washington,
All over.
all over. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going totally off script with our questions here, but
Okay.
so if you need a minute, of course, like take your time
Yeah.
in thinking of how you want to respond. But I'm curious too, because you said you've been with Annmarie now 15 years.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and you didn't start out as CEO, you kind of like
No.
organically like started to fill that role. And so, I mean, as a leader, I'm just so curious of like what that arc has looked like from the point that you did start, which was what role did you start in?
I didn't really have a title, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of just started, and actually it was wholesale manager. That's what it was.
Okay.
Kev and Amory were like, let's build our wholesale program. I think that's what it was. And I dove into the numbers and I was like, no, our margins aren't good. We shouldn't do wholesale right now because we're not manufacturing at the level to get better margins. And I was like, we're losing so much money. And he's just like, okay, do whatever you want. So I was like, okay, great, thanks. And so I started doing just like anything needed in the operations world. Um, and then I think I think one day he introduced me as no, he's like, okay, he's like, you're an operations manager. And I was like, okay, great. And oh, I think we had a couple of team members and he was going out of town and he's like, just ask Rachel or check with Rachel while I'm gone. And I was just like, what? Why? Like, I had no idea. I was just trying to do my thing. Yeah. So he would introduce me to people as director of operations. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Great. That just happened. This is over probably the first 3 to 4 years. And then eventually, I think I was at an event with him and he's like, oh, this is our COO. And I was like, oh, okay. Like what's, and I kind of just started absorbing different things and it grew into me managing many people at the company in many departments. And I was COO for a very long time. And then more recently moved into CEO. So it's been a journey. And I mean, I didn't, know a lot of things. Like I didn't know anything. Like I was just learning as I went. And what I did know was the organic world, the personal care products world. I knew how to work with people, with the team, because I worked on the campaign, managing, I don't know, hundreds of volunteers and organizing them. So my experience was very different than a typical 9 to 5 type role. So I had experience campaign managing and like bringing people to life and allowing them to do what they love to do. It was hard. It was challenging with, in the beginning, just learning and not pleasing everyone and, having a culture that wants people to thrive and be happy, but also having to hold them accountable and doing it in a way that they don't like. And I was the bad guy and it was really challenging for a minute, but then I started to just quickly realize like I need to do this for the team that is performing at that level and so we can be a great company and bring that change that we want to see.
Yeah. I first off just really appreciate the tenacity that you must have had and still have to like come in, not really know, like not, it sounds like, I mean, it's just startup life too, in a way, or like small team life of, yeah, walking in and then kind of noticing things that can be improved or being given opportunities without really knowing fully what to do. And then just like going off and doing them. And also the weight that can feel like when you are figuring it out for the first time. And also so that you can create, I'm sure you, again, as in operations, because that's also like my background. So it's like creating systems for people so that they can then take it over and be more empowered than you were when you got into the role or were carrying out a certain function. So there's that piece. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is, or ask really, is this like transition of that I've experienced and I think a lot of women deal with when in like stepping into leadership roles. And I think also just like getting older and more comfortable with our careers, is
Yeah.
that pivot from what, needing to become, like the word I want to say is like a bitch. I don't know if that's the word I want to say here, but
For
like,
sure.
being a woman and being in a leadership position and like simply voicing your opinions or holding people accountable or holding the vision for the team and keeping, and encouraging everyone and like configuring just like the logistics of the business to move towards that vision over a sustained amount of time. Like even just developing the sunscreen for Salt and Blue, 3 years. Like that's how long sometimes initiatives take, especially when there are twists and turns and you need to make tough decisions. Like we are going to delay launch for like 6, 9 months, or I guess you said it was like ultimately a year and a half. And that can ruffle feathers. And so, not that it did it in this case, but I am just curious of like for you as an individual, like how has your identity evolved as you've like made those leaps in your career at Annmarie, with those narratives, if you dealt with those narratives of like, or struggles of like kind of staying small or otherwise like muting your opinion, and then pivoting to like, no, I'm okay with being the bad guy
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's been an evolution because I went to art school. And so my early 20s I spent creating and making things and going out with my girlfriends and really just living life. Like I had a great, loved it. It was great. Like not a care in the world. I was very naive. I was very young and I loved it. It was perfect. And I cared about the things that I cared about and then I stuck to that and I didn't expand past that because I was like, whatever, it's fine. So then diving into this work style and this work culture was just very different for me to, as you were saying, hold people accountable, hold myself accountable. The hardest part was being looked at like I'm like a mean person because I really never had been that person. I was always just like so sweet and like just, I don't know. And it was so hard to stomach that people didn't like me. Um, until that, I remember I was outside of our old office and I was like, you know what? F it. Like, whatever. Like, I'm sure what's his face didn't care what people thought. Apple guy. But yeah, like I just like had to just realize that it's okay. It's okay that some people might not like you and you're going to be fine. And luckily our team now knows me. One thing that I've tried to establish with the management team at Annmarie Skincare and now Salt and Blue is the team members that you manage and the direct reports that you have to care deeply, and it's radical candor. Have you heard that about Kim Scott? I think is the
No, but I
author.
love that.
So it's challenge directly, care deeply. Like those are the two things. You can't challenge directly without caring deeply. And so that was part of, we had like reading programs, like management. Like it was all about like these protocols and guidelines and these book clubs and like really connecting with managers. So we're all aligned. We're all doing the same thing. We can all like really challenge directly and challenge each other directly, but care deeply. Because if you are challenging someone directly, but you don't care, they're going to feel that and they're going to feel really upset by that. Or if you're just caring about somebody, but you're scared to give them that direct feedback, then they're not growing and they're not performing at the level that they would probably want to and that their team would want them to. So I think I'm going on a tangent, but but yeah, I think like taking those pieces and incorporating it into who we are as management. And oh, that's what I was saying. Our team currently, I've known them long enough, and they know me. Like one of them does two of them do astrology, and they were reading my chart, and she's like, "Oh my God, this makes so much sense," because I have like 5 things in Sagittarius, and
Oh,
yeah, it's intense. And I'm an intense person sometimes. And she was like reading through and she's like, this makes so much sense when you do this. And I think I've learned tools over the years of how to like let somebody feel a little bit more at ease when I'm about to ask them 25 questions at once to get some clarity on something. So I might say, hey, I'm going to come out with you quite a few questions. Don't worry. I just want to get to the bottom of what's going on. So I think I've learned a little bit on how to approach situations, but then also they know me that I love the crap out of them. Like I love them all so much. And so it might challenge you directly and I might be intense and be intense back at me, like challenge me. And we have to all hold each other to this higher level. But yeah, I think that answers the
yeah.
question. Like the
Yeah.
challenges. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting in the beginning getting into a role. And I don't want to bring in gender because I cannot stand when people do that, but it's a part of the world. Like there were times when I would, request something and they want to speak to Kevin. And it was just like a weird thing. And I think that's ended. And we haven't ever experienced that inside of our company, probably because it's all women. But but I haven't experienced that in a really long time, which feels really nice that our society is just like open to women in the workforce more, and it's not like a weird thing. And I think everything's balanced out. I think like the leader that I am today is, hopefully, my team would also say, is a little bit more grounded and a little bit more confident in like, this is what it is and we're going to do it together. And I'm also, down to get in the weeds. Like I think I was mentioning, I'll do whatever. Like I'm emailing customers if I have to. Like I will do things that are needed for the company to succeed and for the team to feel supported.
Yeah, that's awesome. I loved everything that you said. And it sounded like that pivot, like it wasn't that there was necessarily like a mark in time where you suddenly just were like okay with, I guess actually maybe that day when you were outside of your office, if anything, was a little bit of that. But I'm sure there were like so many events that were like leading up to that. And it's just been a journey because again, 15 years, I feel like at an organization and working with a lot of the same people. And I'm sure new people too. You just like, you learn a lot. And it's almost like, because I was at one job for almost 8 years. So I mean 15 years. And but it's like you kind of like know, I feel like there's this stability in the terms of like what the nature of your work is. And so there is opportunity to actually notice how I felt like I was noticing how I related to different teammates as like the team grew, or even like clients, and like learning relationship dynamics and communication tools. And also how like, I know for me, I feel like I would like learn communication tools through my like in my brain of like, yeah, do the sandwich method, which I know is like already controversial, but like, you can learn things, but then there's the embodiment of it, right? That people really resonate with. And that comes from experience and like taking the reps, and then eventually getting to that point internally of like, yeah, like I'm going to do my best to get this information or to collaborate with this person or to give this feedback, and holding space for other people to do the same, and for the process to be imperfect, because that's just relationships in general, and relationships in business I just find to be really fascinating, because it's like we are supposed to, air quotes, everyone who's just listening, but it's supposed to be like all buttoned up and to wear our work persona. And I loved what you'd said for your guys' culture of like, that's not what it is. Like you guys have made an active effort to blend personal and work life. And I think that's something that I've saw out in my own life. I know a lot of people in my circles have, and hopefully is the way of the future, because we are just we are like one human being. We shouldn't have to fragment ourselves across different parts of our life, especially work where we're spending so many hours.
Yeah, so much time. And we should be able to connect with the team that we're working with, to trust them and, I don't know, do the things with them, because we're also, our team has become so close because we are online all day together, And so I think like creating that comfort is so essential for the team too.
Totally. Comfort is huge, I think. Again, on your website, I think I saw the brand being described as a product of intention and action. And I know, as somebody who has dabbled in entrepreneurship, and also is friends with like tons of entrepreneurs, that like the meeting of intention and action is something that can get lost on entrepreneurs, or even creatives, or even people who do identify with like more of like woo-woo oriented. I don't know if I should maybe say it a different way. Woo woo sounds like it has a negative connotation, but I am woo woo, I would say. But yeah, like, or like spiritual, like whatever, like these like more right brain kind of oriented passions and interests. Like I know personally I've felt the struggle of like trying to draw down like the creative inspiration and whatnot into like the physical form through a business. And obviously salt+blue and Skincare, you guys are doing just that into a tangible product, like not even a digital product. And so I'm curious, in your over 15 years of experience of working in operations and then now as a CEO, in how you have, as an artist, even with your personal background, like how have you bridged that creative and like playful side of developing products into a business that actually sustains itself and sustains its team and continues to put out high quality, high integrity products that keep your customers coming back?
As you were talking through the question, I was thinking just like, what is making it possible? And I genuinely think it's the variety in personalities of our team. And, Kevin specifically, former CEO, he's the co-founder. He held certain responsibilities and certain roles that allowed me to do other things, and I think we've had this really symbiotic balance over the years where, we're so close. Like we've had full on debates, like intense. And we love that about that relationship because he might say, "Oh, we should do this." And I'm like, "No, no, no, we shouldn't do that because we need this." And I hope he values that, that I've questioned that and he'll question me as well. And I think, when he's been more of the starter and like, let's do this idea, I can pull him back and say, no, 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 we need to follow through with these ideas. Or I've moved more into the product development, product launch side over the past several years, and he's kind of just let me take that on. So it's allowed me flexibility to do that. And then also leaning on Jen, our director of ops, like she's taken on more of that ops mindset in some areas where I can now focus on the creative aspect. So I think, and then Chandra, blending in some of her work and the creative aspect, I think we've all kind of had this beautiful dance together so that we can all thrive where we are in that time, so it's never just on me or on Kevin or Jen, Chandra, Alexandra, Katie, like all the people. It's everybody kind of just flowing together in this symbiotic way to allow our strengths to come out.
That's amazing. Again, relationships and business. It's like, it's all about the people. I know you said everybody's been on the team for a while. So maybe it's been a while, but how have teammates come to the team?
Different ways. I was just thinking about one team member. I was like, oh, I forgot about Andrea. Andrea is a team member I met on the dance floor at an event. And we were talking about hip hop because I'm like, when are they going to play hip hop? And she's like, I know. And so we connected on that level. And I just love the work she was doing. And she was complaining about her role at the prior company she was working at. And I was like, oh, why are you there? And she's like, oh, I'm actually giving them my notice. And I was like, oh, okay, well, can you tell me when you do? And so she told me when she gave her notice. And I called Kev. I'm like, we got to hire her. And he's like, okay, yeah, do whatever. And so that's how we met that person. Jen, again, I think I was at a party and I had a table. It was at an Expo West party where we had an event and she came up to the table and she was just like really new to the area and excited to be there. She had just moved to LA and she was really interested in personal care products, like natural personal care products. And we connected and brought her on. It just depends, in the beginning, like Chandra came on over 10 years ago and she was fresh out of college. She went to RISD and I remember interviewing her. She's now one of my closest friends and interviewing her. And she was just so genuine, sincere, inquisitive, like asked me questions about like we got into deep personal conversations. And I was just like, who is this person? Like, we need her on our team. And, that's how it stems. It stems from like that instant spark connection that this person is a good human on this planet. And then they have that grit, that tenacity, that like motivation to do good in their role and in the realm of work that we're doing on the planet as well. Yeah, those are just a couple. But, early on, we had to place some ads out or things on different job postings, some through word of mouth, some on our site, some on Instagram, but then others just random times at a dance party or
Yeah.
dance floor, so it totally depends.
Yeah, I feel like the intention that has gone into building these companies really is just like it runs really deep. From our conversation, that's what I'm gathering.
Yeah, it feels good. And then like onboarding, that was a system created of a very, very long intentional onboarding process. So this person could just get full buy-in to the brand, to the mission, to the goals, to the certifications that we do, all of those things. And yeah, so once we get somebody into the team, we like take the time to really nourish them and massage that relationship so that they are in it and invested.
Yeah. Now I'm curious what the onboarding looks like, but you might have covered it a little bit.
I mean,
if you have anything you want to add.
It's pretty long. It's great because we haven't had to do it in a very long time. But it goes for about 4 to 6 weeks. And they start with just learning about the company culture. So the dream team, the manual that we have on like who an Annmarie skincare team member is, who they are not, what are the qualities they possess, when to like direct communication, like certain things like that. We go into products, we go into like background of the brand and every single product. We want every single person to have an understanding about the products. So they all get quizzed on the products in different capacities depending on the role. Knowing about the Made Safe certification, because we want people again to have that buy-in to like what we're doing. Like, why are we doing what we're doing? We're not doing it to make money. We're doing it to change what's happening and to like really create something that's pure and clean and different. So that whole thing takes about a week. And then going into their role for a couple of weeks and then staging with every single team member so that they can get to know them is another aspect of it. So it goes on for about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the role and what they're doing, before we allow them to actually start working.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is involved.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but again, intention.
It's good. It works. And
Yeah.
I think it allows them to feel like more connected. And if they're not connected, if they're not on board, they're going to know quickly, you know? And we have a thing like if anytime between these 4 to 6 weeks, just say, hey, it's not a fit. We're good. And then they're gone. And that's great.
It's like a grace period. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you keep the
exactly.
team again in integrity and like with like the potency of the mission, the vision, and what it takes to actually fulfill it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
amazing. Okay, well, we're going to move into our closing questions. I have two for you. So, the first one is, how would you describe your essence or purpose? And if you don't know, what breadcrumbs have you received about it?
My essence or my purpose as a human? um, my essence or my purpose. I think, after chatting a lot with Alexandra, a team member who does astrology, I've always kind of felt this, that like truth is my thing. I can't explain it, but like getting to like this clarity of where this is the realm, like this is the realm of where to be, this is what is, and not having confusion with that. So I don't know if I'm doing it justice the way I'm explaining it, but for me, like that direct communication, that truth, my essence is um, allowing somebody to move past these like shields that are in front of them that are blocking them from being their highest truth and their highest power, and how allowing them and helping them to see that, but then also me being in mine. So I feel like that is what my goal is and my desire is, and I hope that I'm showing up in that way.
That's beautiful. Do you know your primal triad or your sun, moon, rising in astrology?
My sun, my moon, and my rising are all
All
Sagittarius,
Sag.
and my Mercury, and I think one other. Yeah. Yes.
That sounds so
What are yours?
fun. I'm a Libra sun, Aries moon, Scorpio rising, and I actually have 6 Scorpio placements, so I understand intensity. But Sag is like, I think of Sag as being like light and playful, but also deep and philosophical.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I actually saw a video once of this. I think she was probably an astrologer, and she surveyed her community and asked, what sign would you want to be the most? And it was first Sagittarius by and large. Yes, like so many people want to be a Sag, and the Sages I know are just like, they're just so fun. And then the next was Scorpio. And then like by orders of magnitudes, like of less, it was like every other like sign. Everybody just wants to be, I guess, Sag and the next Scorpio, at least in that
That's
community.
wild. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's fun.
Yeah, it is
Yeah, I
fun.
never like realized, I think because I had my wrong birth time. So, yeah, so long story, but I'll leave most of it out. But I didn't grow up with my mom, and so I didn't know much about her. We never really had a relationship. And so I think I had asked her as an adult, hey, what time was I born? And she's like, oh, you were born at this time. And I was like, okay. And so I always had my chart read and it was one thing. And then I was doing like a really formal chart reading and I was like, okay, I think this, and they're like, no, you need. So I contacted the state of Florida and I contacted the county and I got my actual record, and very off, very wrong.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's not what I thought it was for all those years. I'm a lot of Sagittarius, and yeah,
Wow.
it's fun.
Do you know about human design?
I feel like I've heard quite a bit about it from some team members, but can you refresh my memory?
So it's a similar system, or rather like a broader system, and it incorporates astrology, but it also incorporates other systems like the Kabbalah or the I Ching, the chakra system, and I think there's like three others, but it is different from astrology in that it's less about the personality and more of how one's energy works. It's actually like the science of like our auras. And so yeah, that one is super
I love that.
interesting, and it's actually quite practical of like learning like decision making styles and like gifts and yeah, how our auras like work, interact with other people's auras, and like our strategy for actually how to like create things. So I would look into that one, but it is like a well. So maybe it sounds like you have teammates who are kind of on it with these
I'm gonna
systems.
write this down again so I don't forget. The human design.
Human design. Yeah, I'd be super
Okay.
curious to know your type and your profile, especially. So
Okay,
you'll
I'm
have to
gonna
let me
do
know
it
when you
and
find
I'll
out.
tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, next question. Last question is, what's making life feel rich nowadays?
So I have a little one. I know that sounds like so just basically what people say, like with my little one, but it's so true. Like I just love spending time with her. And I think when I'm able to actually be present with her, which is so rare for me because I'm just constantly like, oh, we need to do this. We need to propagate these. We need to do like all this stuff all the time. And she's like, okay, like she's down. She wants to do the gardening with me. And I think, when we moved to our house, we renovated forever. And we just finished the bathroom remodel, the final remodel, which was the guest bathroom last year. And I was like, okay, now that that's done, I'm doing the garden and the farm and like the greenhouse and all those things.
Farm, greenhouse. Oh my gosh.
So I
Yeah.
have a greenhouse. The farm's not there yet. The fence was just built. I'm starting to like the soil's getting prepped. Hopefully it happens. I don't know. Everything's kind of up in the air with weather out here, but yeah, that's like my focus. And she's down to do those things with me sometimes. But like when she does those with me, that's amazing. And that feels incredible. But like the other day, she's like, will you come to my store and will you get some petals? And I was just like, yeah, of course. And like I felt like I was 7 again. And like I was shopping in her store and I was getting her twigs and her petals and I was bartering her with some pluots and like off the tree. And it was just like so sweet. I was like, wow, like I need to do more of this and I need to like get out of my head and my flow of constantly doing, which is so challenging for me to just be present with her and chill and hang and literally do nothing on my end and everything for her because that's all she wants is for me to go to her store and barter.
And play.
Yeah, she just
That's
and
so
she's such a
sweet.
storyteller, like I get very annoyed with constant stories. Like she's like, tell me another one. Can you finish? Can you finish? Can you tell me another one? I'm just like, okay, stop. Enough with the stories. But her imagination is just so wild and like being in her world for a little bit is so sweet and so rich for me.
That's beautiful. I don't think that's a basic answer at all. I
Okay,
think
great.
that's, yeah, no, that's so, I can imagine how enriching that is. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Wait, I want to know
Yeah.
yours.
Oh goodness. I would say relationships. Yeah,
Mm.
relationships right now are definitely making my life feel rich right now. I just had, and I feel like, I wonder if you know like this language, but like an initiation season where it's like so many areas of life just feeling like jostled all of a
Mm.
sudden, it being super destabilizing. And in the midst of that, having amazing, amazing, amazing people around me in like so many different, and like also amazing people around me that like kind of are a part of these different dimensions of like my personality. Like I have my woo
Mm.
friends, and then I have my like friends who are super into like the feminine, which is there's overlap with all of these, or like my entrepreneur friends, or like my family, like just feeling so rich in love right now with all of my relationships.
I love
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
feel like that's so necessary astrologically right now. So that's
Oh,
really sweet.
really?
Yeah.
I don't really know what's
Just
happening astrologically. So I'm like,
it's like the past 6 months, just like with the transitions, and I can't really put it
mm,
all to words, but I just hear these tidbits from Alexander and Katie, like this is what's happening, this is what's happening. We actually
yeah,
did like a whole session for Salt and Blue and Annmarie Skincare, like intention setting because of
love
what was
it.
shifting in the universe back in March. Yeah, I'm happy for you. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a season of transition. And yeah, I've noticed that with my circles too. Everybody's in transition. So we'll see what's next for all of us. But Rachel, thank you so much. Yes, hopefully it will be good. I think it's going to be good.
Great.
Yeah. But Rachel, thank you so much for being on. This has been such a lovely conversation.
I loved it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And then to everyone who's listening or watching, thank you for being here too. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Rich Souls. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, I would love to hear what one key takeaway is that you got from it in the comments, wherever you're listening to this. If you have any topics or guests that you'd like to see on, feel free to shoot them my way, either in the comment or you can reach out to me on Instagram. And lastly, it would mean so much to me if you were to take just a couple of seconds and rate this podcast. Thank you. See you in the next one.